Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Christina, and in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about some things that we don't do in our homeschool. I share with you guys quite a bit about what we do in our homeschool, what kind of curriculum we use, what our routines are like, all of those kinds of things, but I haven't talked much exclusively about what we don't do. And so that's what I want to do today. Obviously, I want to give the disclaimer that I am not saying that the way we choose to do things is the right way. Definitely not the right way for every family, but what works for us and what is right for us. So if you're new here, I'm Christina, and I am a homeschooling mom to 5 kids ages 3, 4, 7, 11, and 15. I was a public high school English teacher and also a middle school ELA teacher at a private Christian school. So some of what I share today comes from that perspective and that experience, and might lend some insight into why I feel the way I do about some of the things that we don't do in our homeschool. So the very first thing that I can share with you that we do not do in our homeschool is grades. So I don't grade anything. It does not get assigned a letter grade. It does not get assigned a numeric grade. I don't grade things. So let me know down below if you grade. And if you do you do a numeric grade? Do you do a letter grade? Does it depend on what you're grading? I would love to hear your thoughts on grading. For me, I don't grade anything for a couple of reasons. Personally, I feel like grades are a way to kind of tell the parent, number one, tell the parent where the student is in relation to what's considered like the norm or the standard for that grade level, and how they sort of rank amongst their peers. Because their parents are not the ones teaching them and seeing their progress in the way that the teacher is. It's also a way for the teacher to track the progress of the students. If you have anywhere from 10 to 15 to 25, sometimes upwards of 35 students in a classroom, grades help you at a quick glance see where everyone is at in these various different areas. Even if you are only teaching one subject, you can see where they are falling behind, where they are maybe excelling, or maybe where they are keeping up with the average. And so with me seeing everything that they do for the most part and being with them all day, every day, it is very easy for me to assess their level of understanding without assigning them a grade. Also, that does not mean I don't check their work. It does not mean that they don't have to go back and add to things, change things, do things better. Part of the reason why I do not give a grade is because I expect them to do their best every time. And so if I see that they haven't, I'll ask them to do it again. And sometimes I will just say, next time I want to see that much neater, or you are going to have to do it again. Or I'll say, that really was supposed to be a paragraph and this is 3 sentences. So I want you to elaborate on your thinking on this topic a little bit more. I want to see a couple more sentences where you really develop your thoughts a little bit more. Now, there is one exception to this, and I'll talk about that when I talk about tests. But like I said, I do not assign a grade. I simply check their work. If I can check it myself, I check it myself. If it's something I need to use an answer key for, I use the answer key. And if there are things that they got wrong, instead of assigning them a grade, I say, these are the things that you got wrong. I want you to see if you can fix them on your own. And if you can't, let me know and I will walk through it with you. And then the idea is that they should be at 100 really for most things before we move on. So it's not necessary for me to assign them a grade. In my opinion, in my homeschool, that is how I do things. The second thing that we do not do in our homeschool is testing. I do not give any tests. I do not give quizzes. I do not give tests. I don't give spelling tests. I don't do any of that. I don't like tests. I never have. Again, if you test and it works for your family, wonderful. Let me know. Do you test at all? Do you test for everything? Do you only test for certain things and certain curriculums maybe? The one exception that I was talking about as it pertains to grades is my 15-year-old's math. And the reason being, he does have tests in his math curriculum that he takes that are graded. And so I don't grade them. However, the reason I do find that helpful for math is because I am not strong in math. And so that is the one area that I truly don't feel confident checking his work and saying, this looks right, this doesn't. Sure, I could use the answer key. Sure, I could have him go back and fix it, which I do. But because it's something that I can't work through with him because it is truly not my area of strength, I have a program that I pay for. I use Nicole the Math Lady. So we use Saxon Math with Nicole the Math Lady in case you didn't know what we do for math. And so I pay for that access for it to be self-graded. He puts in his answers and things are graded for him. And he also has access to the answer key. So if I see that he completed something, this also goes for some of his language arts work, I will give him the answer key and have him go through because he knows he's not doing it for a grade. So there's no need or thought to try to cheat to say oh, I did have that answer right, or to change the answer. That's not the purpose of why I give him the answer key. It's truly for him to be able to check his answers and to see where, if he did have an error, where was his thinking off, or if he didn't see something a certain way. It really is just to continue the learning, to develop the learning before moving on and just saying, you got an 85, there's your grade, let's move on. He's actually able to go back and figure out what he was missing. So I actually find that more helpful than assigning a grade. But for math tests, it's really just the tests, math tests in his Saxon math program that he uses alongside Nicole the Math Lady, he does get a grade for that. It really means nothing to me other than just knowing where he is in his understanding. So if it's a little bit lower, I'll say, did you feel like you were really struggling with that concept? Do you think you need to go back and rewatch some videos? What do we need to do for you to feel comfortable to move on? Because that was a little bit lower. So it just kind of gives me a gauge for where he's at. So just that one exception for both grading and tests. The third thing we do not do in our homeschool is co-op. Homeschool co-ops are something we have never done. I have considered, thought about, looked into them, and every time come to the conclusion that homeschool co-ops are just not for us. I would never say never. However, I don't think it would be anytime soon, and I'm going to say it probably will be never unless that changes. And I don't have anything against homeschool co-ops. I think they can probably be great if they're the right fit, and whatever variety of reasons people choose homeschool co-ops. And I can come up with some reasons why I'm sure that they do that. However, one of the reasons why we don't do homeschool co-ops is the freedom. I really don't want to be locked down to a particular day or days where that is what we are doing and we're tied to that, and we can't decide we just want to stay home, or we can't decide we want to go somewhere else or anything like that. That is not the only reason, but that is one of them. Another one of the reasons, if I'm honest, is I don't want to teach anyone else's kids. I'm just going to be honest. I did that for years. I liked it until I didn't anymore, and I was over it, and I have no desire. I love teaching my own children. I love learning alongside my own children, and I love children and families, but I don't desire to be a teacher of other people's children. So that's another one of the reasons why we don't do homeschool co-op. Another reason is because I don't want them given homework. I want to kind of be in charge of what they have to do and what they don't have to do. And I like them, especially the older they get, to be able to partner with me about what they do and what they have to do and have some choice. Obviously, there are things that I'm like, yeah, no, we do really need to cover this. We need to touch on this. I need you to do this. But I like them to kind of have some freedom of how they express their learning in certain subjects, how they show it, when we do it, and all of those things, how they prioritize their time, how we prioritize our time as a family. And so I just don't want the restrictions on our time and our curriculum choices and who we're spending our time with and all of those things. So for right now, that is why we don't do homeschool co-ops, and I don't foresee us doing them. Let me know. Are you in a co-op? Do you love it? Do you not like it? What has your experience been with co-ops? I'm interested because I've heard horror stories, and then I hear people that love co-op, and then I hear people that are like, we do it and I like it sometimes and sometimes I don't. So I'm interested to see what you guys think about co-op. We are, however, involved in a handful of different homeschool groups. So we are a part of, I've shared before that we are a part of one with our church. We have a homeschool outing life group. It's like a small group that's focused around going places with other homeschoolers. I am a part of a wild and free group, which I absolutely love. There are a handful of other groups that we kind of jump in and out of based on the activities that they're doing or the field trips that they're going on. We've been part of a homeschool athletic group. So my daughter is in like a homeschool gymnastics class. We are involved in a lot of different things, even outside of like homeschool groups. So my boys play basketball in a rec league, and they go to youth group at church, and they serve at church, and we're involved in a lot of things that allow us more freedom. So for example, with our wild and free group, if we have something going on that day, or we're tired, or we're sick, or we want to go somewhere else, we don't have to feel like, well, we can't just miss co-op. Like they're going to miss their lessons, they're going to miss work, their grades are going to be off or whatever it may be because they didn't do the homework or they weren't there for the lessons. And I just don't want to get into that. I think part of it too may be because my older children have experienced school before. So they tried public school, we tried private school. We've had the experience of them having other teachers and getting graded by other teachers and taught by other teachers and being in class with other students. And there's nothing of that any of us desire. So no offense if it works for you, but we just don't desire it, and we are totally happy with the way things are in that regard. The fourth thing that we don't do, which will not really come as a surprise to many of you if you watch my channel regularly, if you follow me on Instagram, is that we do not do separate grade level subjects for each child. I won't get into that a ton because I share a ton about it on my channel, but we do not do, for example, even for my high schooler, a year-long science curriculum for him in 10th grade, a 10th grade year-long history curriculum, a 10th grade year-long math curriculum, and on you go. So he has his math, he has his language arts, and I might talk about this more in a future video, but I do also have a homeschooling through high school exclusive YouTube video that I did share about maybe a month ago. It was part of the Homeschool Refresh bundle, which has since ended, but now you are able to get access to that video through my Etsy because there are some homeschool planning pages in there, and it also has the link to that video if you are interested to hear more about my theories and perspective and experience with homeschooling a high schooler from the perspective of someone who taught high school. So if you are interested in knowing more about that, I will link the link to it in my Etsy shop down below where you can check that out. I am sure there are more things that we don't do in our homeschool that other people do in their homeschools, but that's all I can think of right now. So that's what I'm going to share for now. Let me know if you have any questions about things that I shared. If there are other things that you're wondering if we do or don't do that I didn't talk about, let me know in the comments. Let me know if there are things you don't do that you feel like a lot of other people do in their homeschools. I'm really interested. If you're new here, introduce yourself in the comments below. I love to get to know you guys. If you are not subscribed yet, I would love if you would subscribe. I share all kinds of different content related to homeschool, family life, motherhood, faith, curriculum, all of the things. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you are not already following me over Instagram, you can follow me there at rooted_homelife. And I hope to see you soon in one of my next videos. Until next time, stay rooted.